Hey guys, it's Happily Married Nerds here. I'm Ash, and this is my cohort Robert. Say hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Cute.
Thank you.
Very cute. So, pretty much this is us, Happily Married Nerds. You know, we've got a lot of interests in common, but we have a few separate ones. And, I don't know, we've been together 3 years at this point, haven't we?
Yes, at least 3 years. It
You-
seems like it could be longer or less time. I'm not sure
You
which.
poor, poor man. I feel sorry for you.
I feel sorry for me, too.
So go ahead. Tell them about yourself first, then.
All right, well, so my name's Robert, and I've been in the podcast world for a little while now, doing a couple of things out there. But I really had not done anything and wanted to do something with a stronger female presence on in the world of podcasting, especially nerd podcasting, because one of the things as we found ourselves in our personal lives is that there's a lot of male nerd out there. There's a lot of male focused nerd. And while there is a lot of female nerd, it's just very quiet. It's not as public. It's not as out there. People don't talk about it as much. You just go look up any podcast, any media thing that has to do with nerd, and you won't see much female voice out there. You may see a lot of pictures. You may see a lot of art, but you just don't see as much voice, at least in my opinion. So I felt that this was a good opportunity to share something I enjoy with my missus, who actually enjoys a lot of nerd stuff, some of which is the same as me, and some of which is very different. So for me, this is an opportunity to really take what I enjoy and what I enjoy in my life and share it with someone I love as well as all of you. So that's kind
And
of
then
right.
at the same time, you get to listen to us two bicker when we have differentiating opinions on a certain topic.
No, she's
I
using big words
apologize in
here.
advance for that. Shut up.
Big words, yay!
So pretty much, he does this for fun. He does one with a friend. You guys should definitely check it out. It's called Two Nerds and a Joke. Now, we decided we were going to do it a little bit differently. The one that he's got going is awesome to listen to. Definitely check it out. They're all over the place. YouTube, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. But again, it's the whole idea that there's not many girls out there, and so he's looking at me. We're sitting across from each other at the breakfast table, and he's like, "How about we do a podcast?" So here we are for your listening pleasure or torment, depending on what you decide by the end of the show.
Absolutely. Well, you didn't actually tell them anything about yourself.
Well, they don't need to know anything.
Oh, there's nothing to know. Fine, be that way.
I've been with this poor man for about 3 years now. We actually met at a LARP, ironically enough. For those of you who don't know, it's a live-action role-play. You dress up as a character. This one happened to be Star Wars-themed. And it sort of just went on from there. I personally, I'm an interior decorator. I have cats. Yes, I am that crazy cat lady that lives down the street. And he kind of just wandered into my life, and he hasn't left yet.
No, I haven't given up hope. It's still there. Still massive amounts of hope. I think for our show, one of the big things, again, is we'll take topics that are pretty standard. It's a short show, as you can tell, by looking at the amount of time. It's only about, 17 to 20 minutes-ish. And we'll take a topic a week or so, depending on how we're feeling and if we're up to it for that particular week. And just talk about it. And if something cool is going on, we'll talk about that. And that's really about it. Nothing too exciting, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and listen to us all the time because we're just that awesome. So to intro us off, we might as well talk about intros. One of the things that you see out there in the nerd world a lot is introductions, and introductions to a character, introductions in a book. How do you see character intros being played out these days? And that glorious, glorious thing that they keep liking to redo, which of course is the backstories and backgrounds and intros of characters.
Well, and here's this funny thing, too. As time progresses, the backstory for a particular character can change like 10 different times. Or you find out that maybe there's more than one person who's actually portraying a character concept. They did Wonder Woman as a perfect example. Now, I'm a Wonder Woman fan, big surprise there. But there are several different variations out there as to whether she's an alien from another planet, she's an actual Amazonian, she's the daughter of a Greek god. I think in the most recent trailer we've seen for the Wonder Woman movie, she says she's the daughter of Zeus, created by Zeus.
Created by Zeus, I think is the term she utilized. So maybe going back to that clay version that you've seen in the past of her, where she's made from clay and all that. So
yeah, and
she's not technically anything. She's not human per se. She's not an alien per se. She's made out of clay, but who knows how that's going to go about, and they might just leave it at that, where it's just not a detailed backstory of how she came to be. It's just she was made, she is, and she exists, and let's move forward.
Yeah. And again, people can reference comics all they want, and a lot of people, basically, they bitch about how, oh, this movie ruined the comic, they didn't do this right, they didn't do that right. My first point in that is going to be artistic license.
Well, to be fair,
it's your version of the universe. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make everybody happy, because you can't. Let's face it. Heck, we can't even make each other happy sometimes when we're on a particular subject.
Yes, true.
But, let's actually do Suicide Squad for a second. A lot of people were really unhappy with the relationship that was portrayed between Joker and Harley.
Which I have mentioned elsewhere a few times that I actually enjoyed much more than the real relationship with Joker and Harley. And for those of you who are either New 52 or the Rebirth in DC Universe readers, from what I've heard, the relationship in the movie is much closer reflection of the truth of what they're doing now than the old version. But I don't know for sure. I haven't read them all.
Well, and the old version was basically, she wants to make the relationship work, and he's basically just either blowing her off or using her for her particular skills or...
She's good arm candy.
Yeah, very good arm candy. Believe me, I am perfectly happy staring at Margot Robbie all day. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
But... I'm kind of with you on that. That even though, like, we have several friends who were, oh no, this is terrible. This is totally inappropriate. Shouldn't be doing this. Not what they were supposed to be. But I'm with you. I like the new variation. It was crazy, and while I appreciate Leto as an actor, I was not as happy with this Joker as, say, the Heath Ledger one. I think the Heath Ledger one will always be a favorite of mine from the Dark Knight series with Christian Bale.
Yes.
But. I thought he still did a good job considering the variation of the Joker that they were trying to do.
Well, and here's a good question for that, too, and this is a rumor that's going around there, that this is not that Joker, but this is that universe. Meaning that this Batman is that Christian Bale Batman as an older Batman.
Okay, I can totally see that happening.
So if that's the truth of that, then the question is, what's the truth of who is the Joker? The rumor is, and this is just a very highly plagiarized rumor, so no, not my original idea at all, is that it's actually one of the Robins who went crazy.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it took on the persona. Because if you watch the movie, you'll see, and again, spoilers, of course.
Spoiler alert.
From the original Batman vs. Superman movie, which is, again, this is the same universe as that one. We know that at least one of the Robins died and was killed.
Oh, the armor.
Right.
The armor that has a spray paint on it.
Right. So we know that a Robin died, and thus, if a Robin died, we know, for our comic book fans, there are at least 3 Robins. The son of Batman, the original Robin, and then the third Robin. I don't remember their names. Not important to the story. We know at least one was killed. We know one's Batman's actual child. And then there's the third one.
Injustice ends up being a bad guy, right?
Yeah, basically being against his father. Yeah, whether he's truly evil or just a bad guy in general, we don't know the detail of that backstory. So there's a couple of options there, and
then there's Nightwing.
Nightwing is one of the 3. Mm-hmm. But again, we don't know what they're going to play it as. We're not sure if they're just going to leave it be that it's just a Joker. If you go back with the Gotham concept of the TV show, which Joker is not a person in the truest sense of the word, it's actually a phantasm that basically takes over someone, possesses people.
Well, if you think about it, you also at that point go back to Wonder Woman again for a second. I do not remember the name of the particular Green Lantern comic that I was reading. This particular Green Lantern was an artist. He had a girlfriend named Donna. And in one of the comics, they are in the middle of an argument, and they're working together, but they're not together. And she's basically saying, look, I can take care of myself. I used to be Wonder Woman. Which implies to me that, okay, the lasso has been handed over, as it were. And that this is just a persona that various people take up the mantle for as necessary.
Which is an interesting concept for it. So it's passing on the torch.
I've got to find that comic. It's around somewhere.
Yeah, that would be a cool one to look at, too. But again, I think that's a cool concept. And again, yes, we know they're covering their butts by using different actors to portray the same character, blah, blah, blah. However, I feel it's a useful tool to use. And as much as I don't like the Flash they're using for the Justice League in that universe...
In fairness, we haven't seen much of him yet.
True.
You might change your mind.
I might change my mind. It does lead itself to believe that this is based off, and you need to watch this, I don't know if you have yet, the Flashpoint animated movie. It's actually really good.
You keep telling me about it.
Yeah.
We'll do that another time.
Yeah, and that, if they play that off, then this would definitely be considered to be possibly another universe. And again, I'm fine with that too. It plays off of Marvel and DC both have the multiverse concept. That way they can play with ideas just like everybody else. So, I mean, that's kind of the big piece of that. So... intros. So when you talk about intros, you talk about movie intros, you also talk about book intros. Introduction of characters in stories, in written word. One of the classics, obviously, you have to go back to is, of course, Harry Potter. And
I love Harry Potter.
Yes, and how he was introduced as a character. Living under the stairs of his house, he's abused, he's neglected, blah, 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 a lot of mystery to him.
Which really endears you to him almost immediately. Here's this sweet little 11-year-old kid who... has not been able to experience life with his original parents, who obviously loved him, as you figure that out during the book series.
Spoilers.
Yes, once again, spoiler alert. But I don't think that's much of a spoiler. I'm pretty sure almost anybody who's interested in Harry Potter has seen it or read it by now.
Or have been living under a rock and has no idea what we're talking about.
Hence anybody who is interested. In any case, it's nice that they very quickly... characterized the family in even just the first few pages of the book, let alone the first chapter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can definitely see, and again, you guys can definitely leave comments below of what intros you liked or didn't like from books, movies, etc. But I feel that was a good introduction to him and made him very sympathetic. We're definitely looking at also video games is another genre that has backstories and intros.
Final Fantasy series is one of my favorites, although I'm a little disappointed by a couple of the more recent ones.
Yeah, well, they kind of let the storyline go, I think, is part of it.
They went more for awesome graphics, and don't get me wrong, I love a game if it's pretty. But to me, even the old pixelated games, I used to love them. Okay, they're not gorgeous like, say, Final Fantasy 13. It's a pretty game even if you don't like the storyline or the gameplay. And if you compare...
So 2 out of 3 things you don't like.
Silence. Compare that to, say, like, Final Fantasy 6, which I think over here was released as either 2 or 3. My brain's kind of fried right now, I don't remember. I loved... the characters from that one because I totally adored the backstory. Now, I loved the colors from it also because I'm an interior decorator and I love all that artsy kind of stuff. To me, it was pretty partly because they tried new animation, considering it was pixelated, and partly due to the color palette that they used. You can make something pretty without devoting all of your time to the graphics and neglecting the storyline. And I really think that a couple of the more recent ones they've dropped the ball on. I am, however, interested to see the new movie for Final Fantasy that they're coming out with.
The animated movie?
I liked Spirits Within, but I didn't think that it fit in with the Final Fantasy...
world?
Theme that they had been portraying up until that point. I do like it as a standalone movie. I'm not sure it should have the Final Fantasy title in it. That being said, Advent Children, I do love. It's a continuation of the Final Fantasy VII video game. And that one I really did enjoy. I enjoyed seeing my favorite characters in a new graphic and a new rendering.
Okay.
But at the same time, I liked that they didn't lose the story in favor of the graphics. So I'm very curious to see where they go with the new one.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool to see where they take the story from here. And it's an interesting thing when you take a series that's been going on that long as well. Because, again, we're up to 13. So there's a few stories there. And how you keep it fresh.
14's coming out soon.
Oh, 14 too? Okay. And keep it fresh. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed.
No, wait, 14 is online. 15 is the new one.
Okay, 15. Okay. So if you go
it's hard to keep track after a while.
It's hard to keep track, right? And here's the thing, you think like that, or like an Assassin's Creed style game, or...
Oh, I love Assassin's Creed.
Or even Super Mario Brothers, or any of the Mario Brother games. Or Sonic the Hedgehog, another one that has 10,000, versions, is, do you keep an overarching story? Is there an overarching story? Does there even need to be? Is it a serial? kind of thing where it's one after another, but they really don't have anything related to each other. Does it matter? Like Assassin's Creed has an overarching theme, has an overarching story, but it's very loose. I don't feel like from reading the stories and going into the games that the story, the overarching story, is like that dynamic. It's cool, it's fun, but it's not like, oh my god, it all ties together. It's all ties together. And
you
again,
can play one game without having played the others.
Right.
However, that being said, they are more fun to play in order.
They are.
We haven't played them
Yeah.
all yet, so don't ask. But,
no, we're playing a few.
We're playing. What are we on? We're on 2 right now. Ezio.
We're 2, yeah.
And
Ezio.
he's fun. I
Yes.
like him a lot. No, I do miss Altair, but he's fun. But going back to intros in video games, Ezio's intro, for example, was very interesting. Again, spoilers if you haven't played it, but him as a baby and struggling for that first breath was really kind of a touching scene. It's a little odd,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's, the parents just hoping and praying that their baby's able to take that first breath.
You're right.
And
Very family oriented. I mean, the whole game is based
very
on revenge.
family-oriented.
Revenge
Very.
against the family. I mean,
And Altair is all about honor and basically regaining what it means to be an assassin.
Right, which is interesting because you lose the whole backstory of Altair because before this he was an assassin, he got arrogant, lost it. So in the exact opposite way, with Ezio, you start from the very beginning.
The very beginning.
And I think that's partially why people liked his trilogy the best.
Well, and I think they tried to compensate with that with the DS games that I believe is like the Chronicles of Altair or something like that, which chronologizes, or I can't say it right.
Yeah.
His early years.
Right. Right. Which is
And-
fine, which is good, and they do give again spoilers in the Ezio 2, Assassin's Creed 2, they do give a little bit more story to a girl, to a relationship, to a background, to Altair as well, but it does again. It's just there's a little bit of intertwining thread.
We just reached that point.
Yeah, we just reached that point. Yeah, but so there's some threads there that are pretty cool that I feel that are cool.
Well, and then we'll go back to Final Fantasy for a minute. Again, Final Fantasy VI is probably one of my favorites. I loved Terra. Please tell me I'm getting these numbers correct. But the one with Terra, she is, again, spoilers if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. She is half human, half Esper, which is basically a magical monster from another world.
Okay.
And I like how they introduced her. Basically what they do is you see her walking on these massive machines with members of what's considered the Empire, who are the bad guys in the video game. And she's just blindly, wordlessly following orders. And you find out later in the game she has what's called a slave crown on her head, which during one of the fights that she's in becomes damaged and is no longer effective. And you find out that she was literally mind-slaved into doing all of this stuff. And then she decides, to heck with that, I'm joining this group called the Returners, which is basically a resistance group against the Empire. And it kind of goes back to the really endearing quality that Harry Potter has up to a point where seriously mistreated main character you end up really liking because you know that they're a sweetheart. You know that they're a good person. And this is kind of like their comeback and basically kind of going, look, I'm going to be better than my history, and going from there.
Well, intros are fantastic. We've covered a lot in this episode, but outros are just as important. And that does pretty much conclude it for this episode, our first intro, episode, if you will. And we'll definitely be doing more. So if you like, subscribe to our site, and we'll be definitely applying more out there. What are we going to be on? What do you want to be on? Twitter, Facebook?
Oh, we can be on whatever the heck you want to be.
All right, so we'll probably
And again, if you guys have something that you want to hear us babble about for 20 minutes, or if you've got questions that you want us to answer on the show, or, even if you have an idea of a guest that you might like to see for, 10, 15 minutes on the show, let us know, because the bottom line is, as much as we're doing this for us, we're doing it for you too. If you've got something you want to see, you want to hear, somebody hasn't covered it yet, say something, because we are not mind readers as much as he sometimes wishes I was.
Yes, indeed. But yes, follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the usuals. YouTube, obviously, is where this is going to be first and primarily posted. We are not on iTunes, so if you're looking for us on iTunes, you won't find us there.
However, if you want us on iTunes, let us know.
Let us know, absolutely. But for us and for everybody that helps us, which are mostly cats, have a good one.
All right, guys. Have a good one. See you next week. Ciao.